Welcome to the 2020 East Henderson High School Commencement Ceremony. My name is Giovanni Garcia Melgar, and I'm your senior class president. Dear fellow classmates, I ask you to remember to follow your heart and use intuition and be who you want to be. Please stand for the national anthem performed by our Eagle Voices.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now I would like to introduce our principal, Mr. Carl Taylor.
Good evening, graduates, parents, families, and friends. Welcome to the 2020 East Henderson High School graduation ceremony. While this ceremony is different from the one we anticipated just a few months ago, it is still a time where we want to celebrate our students on this special occasion. Graduates, I realize that the final 2 months of your high school career have been filled with a mixture of emotions. I realize that you all missed out on various events that would have typically ended your senior year. Please know that our staff and community grieve with you about these lost moments. Instead of focusing on all of the things that we missed out on over these past 2 months, I am going to leave you with 3 hopes I have for each of you. My first hope is that you choose to focus on the memories you have made over the past 4 years. Your class will always be a special one to me, as my first year as principal here coincided with your freshman year. I still remember your first day of school because I was probably more nervous in the gym that morning than you were. From that moment in the gym, each of you began creating your high school memories of Smart Period, sporting events, spring musicals, and such. Please take time tonight and over the course of this summer to reflect on all of those moments that are a part of your high school story. My second hope is that you never take the important things in life for granted. Before March, I venture to say that we all took being on this campus together for granted. I know that my afternoon announcement on that final Friday together would have been very different had I known then what I know now. I would have made sure every one of you knew how much I care about you, and of course, I would have ended with, be safe and make good choices. Too often in life, we're in a rush to get to what's next, as opposed to enjoying what we have at that moment. I hope that as you make the transition to what's next in your life, that you will take time each day to reflect on what you value about that day. My third and final hope for you is that you will take the time to connect with those that mean the most to you, your family, a friend, a teacher. As you reflect on how quickly the past 4 years have gone by, I can assure you life will continue to move at such a fast pace. Now is a great time to thank those who have helped you reach this milestone in your life. Send these people a text, a note, or make a phone call and share your appreciation for the role they play in your life. I am proud of each and every one of you. It has been an honor and a privilege to be your principal. You have added to our school's Eagle pride and East is a better place because of your kindness, your leadership, and your dedication. For that, I thank you. Now, we will hear from the top 4 scholars for this graduating class.
I'd like to start my speech by taking a moment to thank the important people in my life. Thank you to my parents for your unconditional love and financial support. Thank you to my siblings who always don't annoy me or make me laugh. Thank you to my boyfriend and best friend Nick and my amazing friend Silver. I wouldn't know what true friendship was if I hadn't met you two. Thank you to my entire family for always supporting me in everything I do and passing all of your craziness on to me. I'd also like to thank my dogs, Phoebe and Ellie, because they have been forced to witness quite a few of my mental breakdowns, and it would be unfair not to acknowledge the trauma I've subjected them to. And finally, thank you to the teachers and faculty members that have helped me get through the craziness of the past 4 years. I wouldn't be here today without you. Throughout high school, I have struggled with my sense of identity. I cope with my mental illness by whittling myself down into a series of numbers, letter grades, and acceptance letters. I stopped sleeping, I stopped eating, I stopped talking to my friends. I hated myself, but believed that if I could validate myself with some number or list of achievements, I would somehow learn to love myself. If you can't tell, I spent the last 4 years playing a numbers game. I measured my worth in letters, points, and awards. I destroyed my mental health. I was depressed, suicidal, anxious, and struggling with PTSD. I was so scared that someone, somewhere, would judge me if I wasn't perfect, but the truth is, the only person who was judging me was me. I had spent so long seeing myself as a resume that it was hard for me to see or appreciate the person beneath that. Since 8th grade, I've told myself that standing here on this stage would be some pivotal moment in my life where I would have finally proven myself to the world. It would be the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel, which, by the way, is the worst thing you could say in a graduation speech, but here we are. However, that also implies that there wasn't any joy in the past 4 years of my life. When I look back at my high school experience now, I don't think about the test scores, grades, or numbers. I think about all of the cringeworthy history music videos I was forced to watch. Seriously, it's been 4 years and I still can't get that one about the Black Plague out of my head. I think about that one time my entire history class logged into our decade-old Webkins accounts, Food Fridays, cuddling baby goats, and, of course, that rope trick I learned in math class. When I think about my AP art portfolios, I don't think about scores. I think about how I learned to make art that felt like me for the first time in my life. The point is, our lives can't be measured in numbers. Our worth can't be minimized into a list of achievements or a resume. So my advice for the class of 2020 as we embark on the journey that is the rest of our lives is to let yourself enjoy life. Don't waste time focusing on the number of digits in your paycheck or what is or isn't on your resume. Spend time with the people you love and always choose your happiness over any meaningless standards we've been taught to judge ourselves by. Your life will be so much more fulfilling when you live for you instead of the opinions of others. Focus on what genuinely makes you happy and never let it go. One of the most important things I've learned this year is that I am more than my resume. I am an artist, a sister, a daughter, and I am so much more than a list of numbers. Thank you.
To my friends, peers, class of 2020, I know this is not how any of us thought this would go. I so wish that I could be standing here today on stage looking at all of you in person. But sadly, that is not the case. I can't stand here and tell you that I'm okay with that because I'm devastated, as I know many of you are. We should be taking this time to celebrate our last few months of high school and this great accomplishment. Last that we were supposed to have. The last day of high school, the last day of class with our favorite teacher, the last sports game, senior night, a final bout, or the last tailgate. Friday, March 13th, we left at 3 p.m., not realizing it was our last day of high school. A few days later, we were told a 2-week break from school. So exciting, we all thought. Little did we know that we wouldn't return. A see you Monday quickly turned into I miss you, or when will I see you next? When I sat down to write the speech, I had no idea what to write. How am I supposed to write a speech that inspires us to go into adulthood and be responsible, contributing members to society when, honestly, I don't even know what that means? I could stand here and dwell on the fact that we are missing out on all these laughs, but instead, I invite you to sit back, relax, and join me on my quick trip down memory lane. Let's begin with elementary school. I remember my first day, walking in holding tightly to my mom's hand, both eager and scared. I was beginning my new life. All we knew at this point was to eat, talk, play outside, and scream songs around the house. Or maybe that was just me. I walked in not knowing anyone, and my teacher gave me a warm smile and nod, which made me feel comfortable. I stood by and gave a tight hug to my mom as I walked into my new life. Shortly after, a little blonde girl came crying, not wanting to let go of her mom. Knowing the feeling, I walked to her and said, "It's okay, I'm gonna miss my mommy too." Little did I know that we would still be friends to this day. Kind of crazy how that works out. How about middle school? Another new experience. I thought I had elementary school figured out, and then they threw me into a whole new game. You mean to tell me I had to change my clothes for gym class? And I had to change classes without getting lost? Who are all these new kids that I don't know? Will they like me? The first day of middle school was scary. A big building where all different elementary schools feed into. I think I speak for a lot of us when I say middle school was not the glory days. Not only was trying to find our lockers frustrating, but having to remember the combination or even how it worked. Remember the day we had a whole session dedicated to learning how to use the locks? I remember my first day. An old friend and I reconnected and bonded over the fact that we thought our homeroom teacher looked like a big teddy bear. She's now my best friend. Then, the last day, where I truly thought we 8th graders ruled the school. But as we finally adjusted, it was time for another change. Just as we thought we were getting the hang of things, now we have to weather high school. And to much to our dismay, it was not like high school musical. There are a lot of big moments that I will forever remember from my 4 years at East. Let's start with freshman year. We walked in on the first day to the big gym. We saw the seniors walk around the top, and if you were anything like me, you were a little clueless to what was happening. Overwhelmed with excitement and terror, we scrambled to get our backpacks and tried to figure out where we were going, all while trying to look cool. I remember my first football game as a freshman with my older sister, being so excited to be a part of the Goon Squad. Most importantly about my freshman year, my first semester math class where I learned the best joke to this day. Why did the plum divorce the grape? It was tired of raising kids. I hope you're laughing with me, or at me. Next up, sophomore year. We were finally not freshmen anymore, and we got those cool lanyards because, surprise, we're licensed. And it would really have been sophomore year homecoming if our DJ knew how to play music and we didn't have to have the one and only play music through Spotify on an aux cord. You know who I'm talking about. Now we made it to the upperclassmen as we go into our junior year, and for the first time got to sit on the other side of the gym. It was a whole new feeling. For me, this year I really got involved in all things East. SGA provided me with new opportunities to make an impact, and occasionally get out of class. This year was our first prom, and very special because now it was our only prom. I wish I would have known that, because I probably would have gotten a better dress. We were upcoming leaders at our school, and by the end, we couldn't wait to be seniors. Finally, senior year, the big year. We walked around the gym on our first day walk-in, and yes, I finally figured out what was going on. It was the beginning of a great year. Sadly, it was cut short. We were not able to have our senior play, our senior prom. Couldn't participate in senior spring sports or last concerts. There were, however, many great things we did get. Like our first football game. I will never forget the sound of cowbells or the chants we did. Senior circle painting, a tradition I am so grateful we have. Those small town gatherings, hiking, going to Cookout or Chick-fil-A, and of course, hanging out in a parking lot. Any parking lot. The Blackout Pep Rally was our first ever in our time of high school. Ms. Bradley finally used my joke on the announcements, and don't forget about the indescribable feeling when we beat West in basketball. I will miss my first time walking through the halls as an East High student, my first time performing for a crowd, and finishing hearing the chant East High dance team. My first performance of senior year with my fellow NCTC friends. My excitement when I completed my first college application. These are some of the firsts that I treasure. I encourage you to think about your first of whatever group or class you enjoyed. Remember the people who made you feel special, or just did something kind for you. Even a little moment like passing someone in the halls and saying hi with a little wave or even a head nod. Those moments can be so easily taken for granted. We may not have realized the first time we got to be called an equal, but we now know what that means, and we will always be equals. And to me, that is pretty special. To my tennis friends and anyone I was partnered with, thank you for dealing with my bad attention span and being okay when I sat there and ate all the snacks. To dance team, I don't know if I could handle doing Christmas one more time, but I will never look at All I Want for Christmas Is You the same. To my theater family, walking in dressed up after closing night only to have the server sigh because who wants to deal with a bunch of loud teenagers who won't stop singing show tunes? To my Goonies, I will always remember Applebee's after games when the lady eventually remembered who we were and could never get a table big enough. From games to hanging out in the school parking lot on top of our cars, we are a family. To my teachers and administration, thank you for dealing with me and laughing at my jokes even when I know you were laughing at me. And last, to my family, thank you for always supporting me, being patient with me, and being there for every step of the way. I could not have made it this far without the corny jokes and wonderful dance moves from my dad, the insightful commentary and grammar help from my sister, and the constant push and love from my mom, who somehow knows what's best for me like all the time. I cannot thank you guys enough. Class of 2020, thank you for making what we had the most memorable and enjoyable 4 years. I believe we all ended up at East together for a reason. We are connected in a way that most people aren't, and most schools aren't. We have shared multiple ups and persevered through the downs. We're living one right now. The world is telling us that we should be angry about all the last experiences that we are unable to have, but I am here to tell you that we can smile as we think of all the firsts we are lucky to have. I know we wish we could finish it. I think if this situation has taught us anything, it is that we are never guaranteed a moment, so take advantage of everything that comes your way. Thank you for going on this journey with me, and I hope you enjoyed this memory trip. Now I'll see you in 10 years.
Take a moment and imagine your 5-year-old self. What were you like when you were 5? What clothes did you wear? Or even what haircut did you have? I was a kid who loved the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, went to bed with a stuffed whale every night, wore sweatpants and light-up Skechers all the time, and even had a bowl cut. I was the definition of a cool kid. Now I hope all of you were also able to remember your younger self, and hopefully crack a smile. Now what if I told you that that's actually who you are deep inside? I always questioned everything when I was little, and still do to this day. I was afraid of the dark then, and still am now. I never like seeing people get hurt, and still want to do whatever I can to help people now. The important things stay with you for the rest of your life. 5-year-olds never hide who they are. They are 100% themselves all the time. So neither should you. Show off that inner child. Don't lose your sense of wonder, your sense of fairness, or even your sense of humor just because you've grown older. Heck, don't even lose that sense of style from kindergarten. Well, actually, maybe not that. Hello Kitty jumpsuits and glow-in-the-dark dinosaur t-shirts might not be the look you're going for. Needless to say, this is really the secret to staying youthful. Stress gives you wrinkles. There's a reason being around kids makes you feel youthful. Because most of the time, they don't have any worries. They live in the moment. Their energy should fill you up too. Honestly, I don't understand when people say they don't like children. Though I do work at the Boys and Girls Club with amazing kids every day, so I am a bit biased. Regardless, all children should be treasured, and so should your inner child. Now think about your own experiences as a child, and think about the people who really stand out in your mind. They are probably the ones who are the kindest and most encouraging towards you. For me, it was my 4th grade teacher. She was the first person to ever acknowledge me, and she made me really believe that I can do grand things in life. Her words are still ever present in my mind. And in that moment, when she told me them, they were the most important words ever said to me. You are special. I believe in you, and will always be cheering you on. Never forget who helped shape you. The purpose of me telling you to remember your younger selves is not that you can feel even more sentimental than you're already feeling now. It was so that you guys can remember your core values and remember who you really are. I want you all to really try and be someone your 5-year-old self can be proud of from now on. Thank you.
Wow guys, can you believe it? We're finally here. the day that marks the end of a 13-year journey, the day we say goodbye to life as we know it and hello to what lies ahead. Well, I guess we kind of already did that, but you've got to include those formalities. However, just because we are leaving high school behind doesn't mean we forget what we learned. Sorry, teachers, but I don't mean academically, but rather the life lessons that we learn and live through as students and teenagers. With that being said, here are 3 things I learned during my time here at East. Lesson 1, stick to the buddy system. While this seems like an elementary concept, it is crucial to have someone by your side. It is important to have that friend you can always count on to make you feel better after a long day. Or the person to push you out of your comfort zone. Or even that go-to classmate you can always rely on to teach you the material that you missed when you weren't paying attention. Life is a little bit better when you share the small moments with others. Lesson 2, water. Now, all of you are probably wondering what this means and how it is a lesson. And about 2 years ago, I was right there with you. Honestly, when my coach wrote the word water on a whiteboard before the soccer game, I thought he was about to give a lecture on the importance of being hydrated. But that quickly changed as he started talking about the fluid and adaptable nature of water. As a society, we easily get caught up in our schedules and making sure everything goes our way. In reality, there are things we cannot change. We must adapt. So in the wise words of Aaron Chappell, be like water. Lesson 3, don't take things for granted. This is a phrase many of us have heard before, but of undervalued. During this time, it is the most evident. None of us thought our senior year would end like this, and yet, here we are. We missed many moments that we all thought were a guarantee. While this truly hurts, it is not the end. What better time to appreciate small things that were overlooked? From the late nights on the bus coming home from an away game, to Miss Bradley's Friday morning announcements, to the time spent cramming for a test before class, or even the moments spent laughing with friends. Some of the best moments are the ones that are easily taken for granted. And as time goes on, always remember, things truly can change in a blink of an eye. As our time here at East ends and we go our separate ways, do not dwell on the things that could have been. Instead, remember the people, places, and experiences that made you the person you are today. Take the lessons you have learned and focus on what's ahead. The future is bright. Thank you, class of 2020. It has been a pleasure.
Before we celebrate the class of 2020, we would like to recognize our 2020 Junior Marshals. These 16 students represent the top of their class, and we are proud of their commitment and dedication to their academics and East Henderson. At this time, we will begin our presentation of the class of 2020. Seniors, I am thankful to have had the opportunity to be your principal for the past 4 years. I wish each of you the best as you enter the next chapter of your life. Please remember that you will always be a member of the East Henderson family, and that no matter where life takes you, once an eagle, always an eagle. Graduates, please stand. By the power vested in me by the state of North Carolina, I now pronounce you graduates of East Henderson High School. You may now move your tassel from the right to the left. Congratulations, graduates, and as always, go Eagles.
In the hills of Carolina.